We are about to embark on an immersive journey through the corridors of our minds. Stand by as we prepare for departure.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to the Productivity with Peace of Mind podcast adventure. Our journey will begin in just a moment. Inhale deeply and exhale. Our voyage takes us on a captivating tour, diving deep into the intricate layers of our thoughts and imagination. Brace yourselves for the complexities of our evolution. For a safe and enjoyable journey, stay seated, secure your helmet and protective goggles, and keep hands, feet, and legs inside while the ride is moving. Now relax and enjoy.
What if I told you the key to achieving our goals isn't about working harder, but rather about mastering the art of consistency? I struggled with consistency for a long time. I always wanted to overachieve and prove I was good enough. So I would commit to more than I could handle, sprint as long as I could, and end up crashing and burning myself out. It wasn't until I realized starting small is the key to consistency that I was actually able to start something that I could stick to and see lasting results. Once we learn to take consistent action, we start to see massive movement toward our big goals. This can also create the feeling of being in control of ourselves and our lives again. So, today I want to share with you how I used to struggle with the balance between consistency and overachieving, why it's important to start small, and how this makes consistency more doable, especially with our longer goals and long term and staying committed to ourselves through the challenges because they come up whether we want them to or not. That part is inevitable. So, for struggles with consistency, if that is something that you have dealt with, you are not alone. I know so many of us have had this problem. And years ago in my yoga teacher training, we were given a list of these daily practices to commit to. And wanting to receive the maximum benefits I could, get the most out of it, I decided instead of the 3 that they told us to pick, I was going to add all of them to my routine, which already had some items on it. So I was adding 20 to 30 more practices onto what I was already doing every morning, thinking, oh, if I do more, I'm going to get so many more results, so many more benefits. But that only lasted a few months because it wasn't realistic. Things come up in life, and there's things that we can't anticipate that all of a sudden one day we can't make that commitment that we made. And then we end up giving up so much sooner because we lost faith in what we were doing. And we think, well, I missed that day. And then you miss a second day. And pretty soon weeks have gone by and you haven't taken action on that goal. And then we wonder why. When we take on a new routine or are working on making a change in our own behavior, starting too big can lead to us eventually abandoning ourselves. So we're not just giving up on that goal, we're actually abandoning ourselves and we're losing trust in ourselves and worsening and lessening that relationship that we have with us. And in our minds, it's easy to think that we should be doing more than we are due to these pressures of the world outside of us. We see it every day on our phones, on the TV, in the magazines. Everywhere we look, there's people doing big, ambitious, audacious things. But what they don't tell us is all of the little steps they took along the way to get there. And they didn't start from step 100, they all started from step 1. We can't compare ourselves So where we haven't reached yet. So we might think if we're going to start going to the gym, we need to go for 2 hours or do a really hard workout or go 7 days a week, something ambitious or something, a place we're wanting to start that realistically might have taken us 6 months or 12 months to actually reach. And if you have time for that and you have the capacity, amazing. But if you don't, and it's not going to be something that you can truly and consistently do, you're so much more likely to quit. And let me tell you, 10 minutes of an intentional workout done 5 days a week that you can stick to for an entire year will pay off far more than, let's say, 3 months of a 2 hour workouts every single day, only to quit after something disrupts our schedule and then we fall off of our routine and actually don't reach that greater goal of, losing a certain amount of pounds or regaining our health or increasing and improving our energy, whatever that greater goal is. Overcommitting in the beginning of anything new can leave us overwhelmed and exhausted from stretching ourselves too far and too soon, feeling out of control, both of ourselves and of our greater goals. This is just so simple, but it truly changed my life and the results that I was seeing from myself when I made this shift and really learned and realized, okay, I can actually start small. This doesn't mean I'm less. This doesn't mean I'm not capable. It means I understand the human brain and the human life and our world today and how many things we have coming in and going out that it's not realistic to start at the end. We have to start where we are now to get to that end goal. And we can always increase and add on over time as the initial habit has been implemented and actually becomes part of our foundation, where we no longer need those reminders and we no longer need to reconnect with ourselves on, okay, I need to do this today. I need to, it's just like it becomes brushing your teeth. You just get up and you do it and you don't necessarily think about it. You're just getting it done. So let's talk about the importance of starting small. When I severely sprained my ankle hiking on the Appalachian Trail, I was on crutches for 4 months and couldn't get back to my regular workouts for about 6 months as my ankle healed. This set me back in my health journey significantly, not to mention the binging on ice cream that was happening to numb the thoughts and feelings I had about being useless, but that's a totally different conversation. When I started working out again after those 6 months, I set a big goal of hour-long workouts 7 days a week and cutting back on my sugar indulgences I was having. I did this for a couple of months and saw little to no change in my body, which is reasonable because my body was warming back up after 6 months of being mostly sedentary, other than, small stretches and lifting dumbbells with my arms, sitting from the couch or the bed. But I grew irritated with the lack of results. I grew busy with work again, and I gave up entirely. And instead of losing weight that I had gained while recovering from my injury, I continued to gain more weight slowly over the next couple of years. And I did continue to work out a few times a week, but I did continue to overeat as well and numb my uncomfortable emotions as I was going through some big life transitions. Eventually, though, I introduced consistent 10-minute workouts back into my life. Once this became a regular and doable habit, I started practicing at a minimum of 25 minutes. And there were days I would work out for a full hour or more than that when I had the time and the energy. So we can do more than our minimum goal. But starting with that minimum at a lower rate is key because on the days I didn't have much room in my schedule or I didn't have as much energy, I could go in there, do my impactful 10 or 25 minutes, and get out. And I knew that I had committed to myself and I kept that commitment. The same goes with my morning routines, which I talk about in another episode. When I tried to fit in hours of this regimented list of tasks and things that I wanted to do, I could only keep up with this for so long. Now, my morning routine consists of a few consistent items, such as connecting with myself in the mirror in the morning, setting an intention for that day, some type of movement, and some type of mindfulness or knowledge intake. So that could be a meditation or reading or journaling, some kind of practice where I'm really connecting with my mind and I'm growing in some way in that aspect. Most of my early morning time is blocked off for lounging, waking myself, my mind, and my body up slowly and gently. Time to think and process, drinking something soothing and warm, like warm water with the lemon or a cup of decaf coffee or tea. There's a lot of talk out there of dreaming big. And I think this is equally important. And we can always have these big dreams that scare us. But after we set our big, daring dreams, it makes the most sense for our own peace of mind, and especially if we don't want to burn ourselves out, to break down the map to get there into manageable and doable steps that we can stay committed to for the long term. Along the way, we can also celebrate our smaller wins and keep ourselves focused on the right mindset and stay encouraged with ourselves and be able to keep ourselves motivated and excited about the journey that we're taking and why we're doing it. When we focus on where we haven't been yet, it's a lot easier to feel discouraged. While when we focus on how much we've accomplished and those small wins along the way, we're so much more likely to feel excited about that next achievement or milestone. This is how we build momentum and ultimately reach those bigger goals that once felt so scary. So take a moment to grab a piece of paper and a pen or open the Notes app on your phone or computer. If you're in a place where you're not able to write something down, make a mental note or set a reminder to come back to this so that you can complete this exercise because I know you'll benefit from it. And then after each question, you can just pause the audio, take all the time you need to write, and then press play again. Think about all the things you've been wanting to accomplish, or the routines or action items you've been attempting to add to your day to day life that haven't been going so well or turning out the way you want, or you're not accomplishing them. So list all of these out. Now pick 1 to 3 things from that list that you're going to choose to commit to and circle them. Below your list, go ahead and make them even smaller. So, for example, if you have write 300 words per day, make it write 100 words per day. Remember, you can do more than your minimum, but the minimum is there to help you stay consistent, increase your confidence, and improve your relationship and trust with yourself in order to achieve this long term. Now, take 1 to 3 top steps that you want to commit to taking and open your calendar. How many days a week will you be doing this or completing this? Are you going to write 3 days a week, exercise 5 days a week, call mom once a week? Decide on the frequency. Make sure that this is something you can still complete during the weeks you'll be traveling or have a lot of meetings or events happening. You want to be prepared because things come up and we know that. And we think that it's unpredictable, but it's not. Things always come up. And I'm sure if you think about it, you could think of a few things that are predictable disruptions for you. So, could you still achieve this knowing that those are the things that pop up in your schedule or in your day? Go ahead and block these off on your calendar now based on that frequency toward the beginning of the day, if not first thing in the morning after your morning routine. Sometimes you can even make it part of your morning routine if that makes sense. For example, exercise would be one of those things that you could roll right into your morning routine and make that part of the first thing you do when you're waking up in the morning. Using a calendar, whether it's paper or digital, helps us track our progress. There are also free project management tools that we can use to manage our personal lives or even our own professional responsibilities, such as Asana. You could even simplify it more and set reminders on your phone or home devices such as Alexa or Google Home. You could even go back to paper and have a sticky note on your mirror so every morning when you wake up, you see that reminder from your past self of the thing that you want to do in order to achieve your big goals. Whichever you choose, let your systems and technology work for you to keep your brain on track until it becomes second nature and part of your foundational routines. When we do this, we see massive movement. Once you've scheduled out your reminders on a calendar or set reminders somewhere where you'll see them when you need them, right at the bottom of your page, your commitment to yourself. This might look like I commit to exercising intentionally for a minimum of 20 minutes, 5 days a week in a way that feels good for my body for the next 3 months. So you want to set a time frame for when you'll reevaluate. And it feels so much easier to our minds and our brains when we set a deadline. So if you're going to do this exercise routine for 3 months, see how it goes, and then reevaluate, you're so much more likely to stay committed. After this amount of time, we can reevaluate and decide if we'll continue with what we've been doing, if we're ready to add more, or maybe make some adjustments or changes to how we've been doing it or the approach that we're taking. We learn as we go what works and what doesn't. And so that's the most important thing is to take time to learn from that. And you know you best and what you're able and willing to do. So let's make our commitments and go get it done. Learning this skill of consistency will be invaluable for every area of your life. And the more we're able to keep these commitments that we make to ourselves, the better our relationship with us becomes. And then the more we're able to accomplish. Not to mention improving our relationships with everyone else and everything else in our lives. When we build that muscle of doing what we say we're going to do, there's a ripple effect into all areas of our lives that are improved because of it. And when we believe in ourselves, so much more is possible. And we stop wasting time in overwhelm, confusion, and self doubt because these don't help us. They don't get us anywhere and we're not actually getting anywhere like our mind thinks we are, going back and forth with different decisions, different options, different emotions and thoughts about, what it means about us if we haven't done something versus just letting that go, believing in ourselves, staying committed and moving forward. And in the same way we would build a house or a set of Legos, we must start with the foundation and build upon that. So if we're building a house with a roof, we won't get very far because the roof is just going to be on the ground and you have nothing to put it on. This is the same for our goals. We can't begin at the end. We don't have the steps yet to get there. We begin by thinking about the end. So we have that in mind, but then we're working backwards to where we currently are right now. We're meeting ourselves where we're at. Then we build from there. When we slow down to build intentionally, we go so much farther than we might have even thought possible when we first set the goal. As we make progress and achieve smaller wins, our confidence in that particular skill or ability within us continues to increase and momentum starts to build. And we can also surround ourselves with people who believe in us or find accountability buddies on a similar path. When we're in an environment of success and celebration, that fire of commitment to ourselves remains strong and illuminated. Having others along for the ride with us also helps us feel like we're not alone. We remember that other people go through very similar things because when we don't remember that, we can easily fall into the false belief that we're the only ones feeling this way or no one else understands our struggles. Together, we can share obstacles that come up for us or feelings of temporarily wanting to quit or give up. We can encourage each other along the way and continue to lift each other up to greater heights than we might have reached while on our own or trying to take the lone path. I've been a part of many accountability groups anytime I've had a big goal, a lot of times I've created them myself. And so when I wrote the first version of my book years ago, I gathered a group of listeners and committed to them that I would read 2 chapters each week to them on a conference call. So when we know someone else is showing up for us, we're so much more likely to show up for them. It makes our deadlines suddenly very real because we know there's a human being showing up and ready for us. So we have to have our part prepared. Now, as I'm rewriting my book and launching my podcast, among other projects, I'm part of two different accountability groups that I've organized where we share what we're working on, we celebrate each other's wins, and encourage each other when it feels hard, and just continue showing up for each other. Because when you're in that environment of creativity and achievement, you just naturally want to do more and do the thing that you said you did. And of course, obstacles and challenges will be inevitable in any new goal or project we take on. It's not a question of if they'll show up, but how we'll handle ourselves when they do. Being able to manage our own minds through the challenges is what will ultimately lead to our long term success. The obstacles themselves are not what leads to failure. It's the thoughts we tell ourselves about what the obstacle means. If we hit a road bump, it will only stop us if we think it means we need to stop or give up. For example, if you start a new exercise routine and you have an injury, does this mean you can't reach your goal? No, this simply means you have one extra step you weren't anticipating, which is to heal your injury and then continue the plan you set for yourself. If we're driving our car somewhere and we run into a road closure or construction site, do we give up and drive back home instead? No, we probably find a different route to still reach that set destination we had for ourselves. So, when we set our goals and run into an obstacle, why do we sometimes give up or walk away? Why does that feel so much easier? Okay, go back to your paper or your digital notes and take some time to write out all of the obstacles that could come up or get in your way for this new action that you've committed to implementing to your life. Once you finish your list, either next to the obstacle or in a new list, write out exactly how you'll overcome each obstacle you may potentially run into. For example, if your goal is to write 100 words of your book each day, an obstacle might be not feeling inspired. How you might overcome this could be starting to write even if you think it's not good. So just, thinking of, version 1.0, just getting the juices flowing, knowing that inspiration comes from an intentional action, not something that just magically appears for us. We get to choose to think from a place of growth and continue to be solution focused when obstacles show up because they always do. So, being prepared as always leads to such better results. So, let's commit to each other to persevere and stay resilient in maintaining consistency in our lives so we can reach our big goals with ease. When we make the tactics for our goals manageable, surround ourselves with those who want us to succeed, remember what our goal means to us, and set reminders, our likelihood of success and fulfillment skyrockets. So start small and stay consistent anytime you're implementing anything new into your life or professional work. Take time to pause, reevaluate, and learn from what you've accomplished as you go. You've got this. Thank you for braving the inside of your mind with me. The better we understand ourselves, the more deeply we understand the world, and as our awareness grows, life just gets better and better. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a review and share this with anyone else you think could benefit from listening. A quick reminder that the content shared in this podcast is for informational purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, and the discussions here are not a substitute for professional advice. If you're dealing with a specific issue or need personalized guidance, please consult with a qualified professional. Your well-being is important, and this podcast is simply a platform for sharing insights and experiences. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Until next time.